and I'm talking at a pretty standard level, maybe for a lecture or something. Believe it or not, right here in the palm of my hand inside this little box, I have a very small and compact voice recorder that can record up to 750 hours of voice content with the 64 gigabytes of built-in storage. Not only can you plug in a pair of headphones with a 3.5mm connector to listen to your voice recordings and fast forward through and play, pause, all that good stuff, but you can also load this thing up with up to 30,000 songs, so you can actually use this as an MP3 player as well, which is very cool. Now this is all very impressive given the extremely small form factor we have here, and the good news is it actually records at 320 kilobits per second with a 25 kilohertz sampling rate. Inside the box I have a USB-C to USB-A charging and data cable. Well, this is nice. I actually include a pair of 3.5mm wired earphones so you can use it as an MP3 player or listen to your voice recordings right out of the box. Next up, we also have the 3.5mm to USB-C dongle that actually has an inline remote control so you can adjust the volume, play, pause, and skip ahead in your recordings. And the accessories keep coming because we have a USB-A to USB-C dongle here so you can actually plug it in with a USB-C connection in your laptop or other devices. And of course, we also have a user manual. And then finally, we have the voice recorder itself. Wow, it actually feels very solid, made out of metal, has some good weight to it, feels very good in the hands. And as you can see, it's actually a keychain, so you can actually clamp this onto your keys or even just pop this onto your backpack or your laptop bag so you can always have it with you. You can even throw it on your belt loop if you want on your pants. Now, taking a look at this all matte black design, on the front we do have some TCTEC branding. Over here on the side we have a little switch that's very easy to use. By default the middle is off. If you switch it over to the left side, we have voice activated recording. Now with voice activated recording, it's actually pretty cool because remember, you get 750 hours of recording time, but obviously you don't want to fill that up with a bunch of dead air. For example, if you're listening to a lecture, there's a big long pause, and then all of a sudden when you go back to listen to it, you're like, there's a really long pause and you start fast forwarding through it. It takes up extra time and space. So with voice activated recording, it'll automatically stop recording when there's no talking and then automatically start recording again once talking resumes. So that's a very cool feature to save space and time. And then if you switch it over to the right side, we actually have the standard on button, so it'll actually just turn on and record everything without stopping until the battery dies. Remember, you get about 15 hours of battery life on a single charge. Then right over here next to that, we have a little pinhole that has our LED indicator light, so it'll flash and let you know what mode you're in and let you know that you're recording. Right next to that, we do have our USB-C port, so that's going to be great for fast file transfer as well as fast charging. You can also use this to plug in your headphones so you can listen to your tracks. Over here we do have a little key ring here, so you can actually just clip it onto your keys and always have it with you. Over here, nothing, 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 nothing. And then this right here obviously opens up if you want to clip it onto your backpack or your pants or anything else. Now all in all, a very nice design, very small, compact, very solid build, feels great, and it looks great, and it looks very easy to use, a simple switch. But now as far as the settings on here, like adjusting the date and the time, as well as the bit rate that you're going to be recording at, you do have to connect this to your computer and edit those files. So let's actually go do that right now. Alright, so I actually have the TCTEC recorder connected to my MacBook, and as you can see, we do have a music folder, which is empty, but you can fill it up with all your favorite music. Remember, it can hold up to 30,000 songs, which is very impressive. Now if we come up here, we do have our settings text file. And now as you can see, we have our different settings. So you can set the time and the date right at the top. The voice control sensitivity between 1 and 7. The larger the number, the more sensitive the recordings will be. By default, we're set at 5, which is roughly in the middle, so I think we'll keep it at that. Next up, we do have the bitrate setting, so the higher the number, the better quality. We have it set at 4, which is 192 kilobits per second, which is very good. Next up, we do have the gain, which is set at 5 by default, and it's a recording sensitivity. So if you wanted to pick up recording further away and a bit louder, maybe somebody's talking very quietly, you can adjust this as needed. Next up, we do have part. So this is how long your recording files will be, between 10 minutes and 240 minutes before it starts recording another file. By default, it's set at 60 minutes, which is 1 hour, which seems like a good size unless you want something smaller or maybe even bigger. So today is 2023, July 13th. And the time will be 16:52 if we're going by military time. We're gonna save the file and now we're ready to go. So now that we've got everything configured to our liking, let's actually put this recorder to the test with an actual recording. So let's switch this to the on position. We have the light illuminating, it looks purple. It's solid red. And now the light is flashing 3 times red, so that means we are officially recording. And as of right now, you're hearing a raw and unedited audio sample coming directly from the TCTEC voice recorder directly to your ears. No funny business here. What you hear is what you're gonna get. And I'm talking at a pretty standard level, maybe for a lecture or something. Now if I start whispering a little bit, maybe you can't hear me as good, but we do have the gain set to 5, so I think it should pick me up fairly well. Now, as far as the recording goes, we're recording just 100% unstopping, so we don't have the voice-activated recording turned on, so there won't be any pausing if I happen to not say anything. It's just going to record all that dead air, which, gets in the way. So obviously, for the most part, I feel like if you're doing a really long recording session and you want to go back and listen to it, it might be better to have voice-activated recording turned on so you don't have to listen through all that dead air that might be in there. But it depends on the situation, of course. Use it how you like it. Now with that being said, now that we recorded, we can easily turn it onto the off position. It flashed the red light and it automatically stopped recording and saved our file. Now the good news is, remember, this gets up to 15 hours of battery life on a single charge, but if you happen to be recording for a long time, maybe you just didn't charge it, if the battery happens to die mid-recording, the good news is, before the battery dies, it'll stop recording and save the file, so that way you don't lose the file when the battery dies. So it's a very good fail-safe right there. But now, of course, what I want to test out is the voice-activated recording to see how well it does when it tries to pick up your voice when someone starts talking. Is there a delay when it happens or not? We're going to test that out real quick. So, turn it on to VA. We have our purple light. It's solid red. And now it's flashing green 3 times, which means we have voice-activated recording turned on. So as you can see, I'm talking right now and it's recording, but if I happen to stop talking, it should have stopped recording and now there should be no gap there. So if you're watching this, there's probably a big gap of me just not saying anything, but you can hear me talking because there is a gap of dead air there, so it's going to look weird on video, but that way you'll get an idea of how it works. And we'll see how well it can pick up from when I stopped to when I started talking again without missing out some words. For now, with that being said, we'll turn this to the off position, and now it stopped recording after flashing the red light, and it saved our file, hopefully without any gaps. So as you guys saw, it was a very simple process to start recording and stop recording. Just flip the switch and you're ready to go. But now, let's say we're in a classroom environment, you're at your desk, and then your professor is all the way over there. Let's see how well it can pick up somebody who's far away. So I'm going to turn the recording to the on position, just recording continuously. I'm going to set it down right here, and then I'm going to just head far away over there and see if it can actually pick me up. Okay, about 2 feet away, talking at a very standard speaking voice if I was just talking to you face to face. So hopefully it can pick me up and hear me because I'm actually pretty far away and this will be very impressive. And I'm back. Hopefully you're able to hear me. Let me just turn off the recording and there we go. It stopped recording, it saved the file, and hopefully you were able to hear me that whole time. But now that we got all the recording out of the way, you guys already heard everything, but I didn't. So I'm gonna grab my headphones that were included in the box, and I'm gonna plug them into the USB-C port and see how easy it is to actually listen to those recordings and see how good they sound. So one of the cool things about this is, remember I said you could have music on here as well as your voice recordings. So you actually hold down the play and pause button and then it'll switch between the two. So you can switch between listening to your voice recordings or listening to music depending on what you're doing. Okay, so right now I'm listening to the one where I walked away. It's playing the most recent recording first. I can actually hear myself perfectly fine. There's a bit of background noise, but not bad. I can still hear myself perfectly fine. Especially since I was far away, very impressive. You know what? The recording sounds very loud. The one that was right here where I was talking. I mean, wow. I can adjust the volume just fine. I can even hold down the arrow to fast forward. Or if I happen to miss something, hold down the back arrow and go backwards. So it's very cool that you can fast forward and rewind while you're listening to it on the device. Wow, you can play and pause just like that. Very easy to use. All right, so now I'm listening to the voice-activated recording, so I'm gonna see if it actually did a good job getting rid of that gap. Okay, I see what they did. So it's not a 0 gap. There's about a second or two of a gap, which is actually a good thing, so that way it doesn't cut off the end or the beginning of the sentence that you are speaking. So it did a very good job at stopping the recording a second after I stopped talking, and then starting recording a second before I started talking, and then put it all together, and that way there's not a big gap where oh wait, that's a new section of stuff that's being said. And the good news with that is you can know exactly where each segment is. So if your professor's talking and he's like, okay, everyone pull out your books, everyone's pulling out books or whatever, and there's a big gap, and then it starts recording again, you're like, oh, this is where we started with the books. So you know exactly where each segment starts and where each segment ends. So with all that being said, after listening to the recordings and testing all the recordings, voice activated as well as continuous, and playing around with the headphones, listening to it, fast forwarding, rewinding, skipping tracks, all that good stuff, this is a very good recorder. Very good build quality, extremely small and lightweight, and I really like how you can clip this onto anything and also always have it on your keys, just wherever you want it to have a very stealthy, small and compact voice recorder with you at all times, so you never forget what was being said. Now the recordings, they sounded great even when I was far away talking at a very low speaking voice, and I was very impressed with the voice activated recording, so it got rid of a long gap and then brought it down to about 1 to 2 seconds, but didn't miss out on the first or last word of the sentence when it stopped recording. Really, this is a very good voice recorder, excellent build quality, works very well, extremely user-friendly and easy to use with 15 hours of battery life and 750 hours of recording on the internal storage. It's very easy to adjust the settings on your computer, pull off the files on the computer, or listening to them right here on the device itself. Really a very nice small voice recorder that's going to be great for students, work, or whatever you need to record a voice with.